This here says Chelsea already are given Delap the number 9 striker shirt. You ain't getting another striker. Delap is your main guy. Well, what's interesting about the Ekitike news and Chelsea is that what Ben Jacobs told us here on the Football Terrace is that there's no concrete, he's hearing nothing concrete that now Delap signed, they will get another striker. He said they're looking, but it isn't the priority. A left-sided, a right-footed left-sided attacker is the main kind of approach. They've got an agreement now in place with Gittins, but at 100, I honestly don't see them paying now that it's coming from real credible sources at Chelsea that they're just not going to pay 100 million euros for Ekitike. If they walk away from him, they've got Gittins. Surely they need more than that. There has to be more than just Gittins and the lap coming in to push Chelsea to the next level next season.
Striker, main one, and Osimhen or a Eucharist, and that will push them to the next level. With Cole Palmer, Enzo, and Caicedo, and Lavia, and Andres Santos coming in. Gittins is good. He's not the finished article.
The keeper as well. Keeper as well is big.
They are looking at another keeper. You know that they are getting. We all know. Everyone here knows that Mike Maignan, most likely 99%, will be a Chelsea player. The difference in valuation is basically between 2 and 5 million between the two clubs. We all know
for
that
them as well. Like with striker, like David Sanchez or Robert Sanchez, nowhere near it in terms of being a keeper that will get them back to like competing for trophies. So I think bringing in Maignan is going to help them enormously. But yeah, I think striker is the main one. I think the Lap himself probably doesn't think he's going to be the main number 9. Jackson is probably someone that Chelsea fans have maybe lost a bit of patience with and they want to maybe gone. But they're still in the market for a striker, I would say, 100% to compete with the Lap.
But the problem is going to be Jackson. If they have 3 strikers and they get another striker, Jackson have no space in the team anymore. Jackson must go or being accepting that he's going to get very limited minutes. I actually think that Chelsea should aspire to challenge for the title next season. 3 more signings and Chelsea can really challenge for the title. Can have one of the strongest starting 11. If they get Maignan for a minimum fee, which is that they're going to get, which is 20 million euros, that is nothing for Chelsea. They got a striker with Delap, they get Gittins, and they get a centre back, whoever they're going to sign, Hato, whatever. I believe that Chelsea have one of the strongest starting 11 in the league. And people talk, but the wingers are shit. No, Neto is a good winger. Madueke is not bad. But I think Gittins can come in and be
I think they have like
the
team of just good players, guys. Not like world class.
Some breaking news on that has just come out now from a leading journalist in Argentina, that Gusto Edol, who's broke a lot of news saying that Garnacho is close to leaving Manchester United with a preference to remain in the Premier League. He says that Chelsea lead the race to sign him, followed by Arsenal.
Oh,
in the show.
Martinelli and Garnacho are pretty similar in terms of where they're probably at in their careers. I think Garnacho might be a little bit better, but like end product is not there for either of them. I don't think that'd be the right signing for Arsenal.
Bro, like this, Garnacho's not taking anybody to the next level. Like,
I'm just reading
is not ready.
Don't shoot the messenger.
yeah. Don't. I mean, what I'll say is Gaston is he's one of those weird journalists. And when I say weird journalist, he mainly reports on South American news, but it's not like he's tweeting every day about Premier League clubs. You know, you get some that do that, and you think, well, how do you know? You're based in this part of the world. Like, how have you got so much contacts in England being there? And you're not that famous. As I said, he's got 1 million followers now on socials. Like, he's very credible. He is now, I think it's the guy I'm talking about. It might not be. I think it's this guy. Or, yeah, he's pinned thing is all these different interviews he's done with Messi. Like, he's very well connected in Argentina. He is saying it's nearly done. But again, I do agree with you.
Well, what's nearly done? What is, can you just, what is nearly done?
His words are, Garnacho is close to leaving United. If you're close to leaving and Chelsea leading the race, that means it's nearly done, right?
Yeah. It's nearly done that he's leaving. It's nearly done that he's leaving.
I'm close to I'm driving to your house. I'm close to arriving. That means my journey's nearly done, right? So I'm only going by his report, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying I know anything. I'm just a YouTuber. But this is the thing. Listen, I like Garnacho. I do. He isn't right for the direction Man United are going in, and I understand that. But I'm looking at this Chelsea, and we'll touch on Arsenal in a minute. I'm looking at Chelsea here, though, and I'm thinking the lap Garnacho Gittins, are they going to take even being a fourth place team to win, to fighting to win the Premier League? Chelsea are going into year 4 of their rebuild, into the Champions League. They're financially stable. They're 300 plus million away. They could lose 300 million pound from this point until the end of June, and they wouldn't touch PSR. That means they can afford almost anyone in the world. Anyone. You wouldn't get Yamal and you wouldn't get Mbappe, but you could prize nearly any player away from a club with that money. And they're going for Garnacho. Listen, if it gives me 6, he'll score goals. He'll make an impact. He won't be dog shit for them. But if this report is true, I don't see Garnacho bridging that gap between Chelsea and Liverpool.
100% it's not. I remember Mark's words about 2 or 3 years ago. That video was circulating. That he said that Garnacho and Real Madrid might be a problem in 2-3 years. I love that clip. It's fantastic, bro. He said Garnacho and Real Madrid might be a problem in 2-3 years. No. Just to be honest, that was funny. It circulated in front of me. But to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to happen. If any of these 2 clubs sign Garnacho, it's not only a sideways move. I think it's a backwards move, to be honest. Madueke is better than Garnacho. Martinelli and Trossard both are better than Garnacho, in my opinion. And I think maybe we're interpreting what the guy is saying wrong. Maybe he's saying that Garnacho wants to stay in the Premier League. Maybe he's going to offer himself to Arsenal and Chelsea, but I don't think neither of them will go for him, to be honest with you. And the problem is, if you look at how much Man United want for the player, they want at least 50 million pounds for him.
We want 60 million from a Premier League club.
60. Mm-hmm. So you're telling me that Arsenal, instead of going signing Nico Williams or signing whoever, Lafaleao, they're going to go and try to get Garnacho to be a left winger for them? I don't see that happening. I'm not saying he's a shit player, he's oh my God, he's a championship player. But I think it's a backwards move. I think he can sign for Sheffield, he can sign for Leeds, and he can take his career up again. Maybe he can be Mbeumo's replacement at Brentford, especially if Thomas Frank leaves. But him going to Arsenal or Chelsea, I think that would be the most banter move that will happen this season in the Premier League. We will talk about it for the rest of the season.
I could definitely see him going to Chelsea. I think that's such a Chelsea transfer with the policy they have in place now. I don't think it would make sense from a perspective of getting them to the next level. But like what Terry said there, if you think about the Chelsea team now, so you have Delap. I think Palmer's obviously the one person of quality, but Delap, they got Garnacho, Madueke,
Neto.
They're not Neto, yeah. They're players that are all kind of at a similar enough level. They could maybe have bursts of form and play better, but they're not. I don't look at Chelsea and think that they're gonna be pushing Liverpool or Man City or Arsenal.
What if they sign Gyökeres and Magnan?
Yeah, I think they're gonna sign Magnan. If they sign Gyökeres, maybe, but I still think defensively maybe they're a little bit suspect. I think at the centre back position is somewhere they probably need to strengthen. I think as well they don't have enough experience. This Chelsea ownership don't want to buy experience. They want players that are young, that they can bring in, that they can profit.
I think it's a myth. It's a myth.
It's not a myth. It's
what
not
they've done. It's what they've done.
Yeah. Think of all the players that they've bought. They've bought them, signed them on big contracts, and then they try and sell them on in the future if they don't.
Mo, do you know what the word myth means?
Yeah, that's not true. That's not true. Why is that? Neto is experienced. Tosin is experienced. Them going for Magnan, he's 29 years old. They're trying to negotiate Magnan, so they changed the way they did. Them were linked to Gyökeres. They were linked to Osimhen, and they tried to get Osimhen, and they failed to agree a deal. Osimhen is experienced, right? They got Tosin. Kukurea had a year or two. Now, if you look at them now, these players that we talk about unexperienced, Caicedo is going into his 4th year in the Prem.
Yeah.
Enzo Fernandez is his 5th year in Europe next season, right? Pedro Neto has been in the Prem for ages. Levi Colwill next year is his 4th year in the Prem, full seasons.
Okay.
So that thing that they don't have experience, you gain experience with time. You gain experience with time. And we
Okay.
But none of them players have experience like winning big trophies other than Enzo Fernandez.
So what
like,
are you talking about? Okay, are you talking about big trophies or are you talking about experience? Because
no,
it's
but like
different.
you get like say you can play like lots of games and like you can still have experience. Like say Caicedo, he's been in the Premier League a good while now. I think he's 23, so he has experience in a sense. But in terms of like getting them over the line and to compete with Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal,
what is the only? Give me one player apart from Thiago Alcantara that Liverpool signed over the last 4 or 5 years that is a winner, as you say. Forget the experience. That is someone who came to Liverpool, like he won multiple trophies, like Juventus signing Cristiano Ronaldo.
But we didn't need to. We didn't need to because we had Van Dijk, Alisson, Trent, Robertson, Salah.
No, but I'm talking about these signings. Even Van Dijk was experienced enough, but he wasn't a winner. You know what I mean? Mohamed Salah was at Roma.
Let me just say for a minute then. So I get your point around it being a myth. No one is claiming that Chelsea don't have any experience. We want to have a sensible conversation here. Of course, they have experience, and certain players are getting older. I am talking in the short term here. So again, if they improve, I'm only going by the stories that are out there. If the improvements to their front line this summer, Delap, Garnacho, Gittins, 3 very talented players with very high ceilings. Is that enough next season to bridge that gap on Liverpool? I'm not sure. With what City are signing, with what Liverpool are signing, what Arsenal may sign, they may stay where they are. Where I think slightly more experienced players with, and by the way, it's not always about age. For instance, I look at Nico Williams as a more experienced football player than Gittins because of what he's done internationally as an example. So it's not just about their age, it's about the amount of games they've played and where they've played. So Delap isn't a baby. He's turning 23 next season. However, how many games at the highest level of football has he had? These things, I'm not slagging off the signings. They are excellent players. I don't even think Garnacho is a bad signing. He'll score goals. I'm just looking at it from the perspective of if they went out and signed Osimhen, if they went out and got Nico Williams, if they go and get Maignan, which they're looking like they're going to do, I think if they went and added, again, I praised them last summer for the Netos and the Tossins in terms of the age profile, but if they go and get themselves a top-class centre-back, maybe a world-class centre-back this summer, they could win the league. Is all I'm saying. If they went and bought that, they could win the league next year. If they go and sign 3 inexperienced in terms of if you look at the availability of attackers and what other teams are doing, if they go and add a lack of experience or a lack of know-how at the highest level or a consistency at the highest level, they may improve again next season, Chelsea, but I think they could improve more. If that's their model, though, and that's what they're going to go with, fair play. But at the same time, I just think they're so close, Chelsea, to being a fantastic team. They're a good team, being a fantastic team. I just feel like they need better than Garnacho. And I'm a Man United fan saying this. I want him. It's not a dig. It's just, is it enough for them to win the league? I'm not sure.
So are we only saying for Man City?
Mo, but Mo, just on the Chelsea thing as well. Like what you're talking about, as in, like they have Cucurella, they have Maignan, they have Enzo, they have Caicedo, all them players, and even Palmer. They brought in all them players when they were young. Do you know what I mean? They brought in all those players when they didn't have like huge amounts of experience. Now they're playing at Chelsea, they're doing better. But in terms of when they go out and buy players, they buy players that have a potential good resale value, or they sign them on big contracts.
Everyone in the Premier League, most of the Premier League clubs, apart from Manchester United, buy players with potential to be world class. There is no team in the Prem at the current moment that goes and buys the players. Now, only Liverpool are doing this today with Virgil.
No, this isn't true. Again, so what you're saying about going out and buying the best players in the world from the other big teams, This rarely happens into the Premier League. You're right. But let's just go back as far as 2022. Luis Diaz signed. Luis Diaz signed in 3 years ago when he was 25 years of age. Konate signed 3 years ago when he was 23. You've got the signing of Soberslime, mid-20s. McAllister in 2023, mid-20s, as an example. Last year, they only really bought in Chiesa. You keep going through it. You go and look at when they bought Jota into the club, and that was 5 years ago now. 23, not so much of a baby. Thiago Alcantara came in. You go back the year before that, they barely signed anybody, to be fair, and they were absolutely ridiculed for not doing that. You go back to that really good summer they had when, Alisson came in. How old was Alisson when they signed him? I don't actually know. He weren't a baby though.
Yeah, 20. I think he was 26,
24, 25 or something like that. Yeah.
20,
around the mid 20s, like
maybe younger. Yeah.
26 as an example, and I think this is why it's important to look at. You go back as far as 2018, which was 7 years ago, when they signed Fabinho, 24, turning 25 in the October. So again, it's not about saying Chelsea. I'm not saying Chelsea have got to go and get Vinicius Jr. They've got to go and sign Kvaratskhelia from PSG. They've got to go and get Barella from Inter. I'm not saying they've got to go and sign the best players in the world that are in their mid to late 20s to show they want to win. But I still think there's nothing wrong with having a model that Chelsea have done where they've gone out and bought some of the best young players in the world. I think they've done a fantastic job of cultivating talents like Lavia, players like Caicedo as an example. They have done a fantastic job there. I just look at this summer and think, is there not the chance of signing an attacker like an Osimhen? And by the way, the Ekatike has this same thing, even though there's more money attached to him, of if he comes in and isn't quite ready, I'm not saying it's a bad signing, but they could try and win the league next year. And I just want to know whether Chelsea fans would prefer that. Maybe they don't. Maybe Chelsea fans go, no, I'd rather buy young again. If we come fourth again, but we're getting better, I'm fine, because at some point this team will click into gear and dominate for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. If that's the model they want and they think it's going to work, I can respect that. I'm just stating they're talented. They're looking at talented players. I think they should be looking at an Osimhen. I think they should be looking at a Nico Williams, not, if this report is true, Garnacho. And I like Garnacho. I just think there's better options out there that would move the needle closer to Liverpool.